That went better than expected, Obi-Wan said as he, Anakin, and TC-16 were being escorted into the heart of Workshop Jaan. Anakin wasn't convinced. You're too trusting, Master. I sense much suspicion. Workshop Jaan was a marvel to behold. Chi chair artisans worked individually or in groups of 3 to 300 on devices ranging from high-end home appliances to starfighters, adding enhancements or adornments, tweaking, personalizing, customizing in 1,000 different ways. The same pair of outsized aliens who had escorted Obi-Wan and Anakin to the prelate's chancery guided them to Lalak Silalak Ta'ak's altar, which was located in the workshop's western colonnade, the piers of which were decorated with mosaics of engraved tiles. Lalak Slalak Ta'ak was engrossed in engraving a corporate logo into a piece of starship console. On hearing his name called, he glanced up from his work. The escort chittered to him briefly before TC-16 took over.
Lalak Slalak Ta'ak, first allow me to say that your work is of such exceptional quality that the deities themselves must be covetous.
The Chi-Charian accepted the compliment in humility and chittered a response.
We appreciate the offer to watch you at work. But in fact, we are not unacquainted with some of your finer pieces, and it is because of one piece in particular that we have journeyed so far to speak with you. An example that recently came to light on Cato-Neimoidia.
The Chi-Charian took a long moment to respond.
A Mechno chair you adorned for Trade Federation Viceroy Newt Gunray some 14 standard years ago.
TC-16 listened, then added,
But surely it was yours, for the inner portion of the rear leg bears your devotional symbol.
Again he listened.
A Bactoid forgery? Are you suggesting that your work could so easily be imitated?
Without another chitter, the Chi-Charian let go his tools and launched himself from his work pallet, not at T-16 or either of the Jedi, but straight up into the web of overhead girders. Ignoring indignant squeals from rudely awakened Chi-Charians, he began to leap from one girder to the next, clearly determined to reach one of the tall skylights that perforated the roof. Obi-Wan watched him for a moment, then turned to Anakin. I don't think he wants to speak with us. Anakin kept his eyes on Lalak Sulalak Ta'ak. Well, he has to. And with that, he leapt in pursuit. Anakin, wait! Obi-Wan said, then added, more to himself, Oh, what's the use? And sprang up toward the ceiling. Hurling himself from truss to truss like some circus performer, Anakin arrived quickly at the intricate tracery surrounding the partially opened roof window, through which Tlalak Sulalak Ta'ak was desperately trying to squirm. The Chi-Charian's insectile forelegs were already outside the window when Anakin leapt again, clutching onto him in an effort to return him to the floor. But the alien was stronger than he looked. Chittering madly, he leapt for a higher window, this time taking Anakin with him. 10 meters away, Obi-Wan paralleled the Chi-Charian's flight into the upper reaches of the vaulted ceiling. Anakin was still trying to drag his quarry down, but his weight was insufficient to the task. Fearing what might result should Anakin call too strongly on the Force, Obi-Wan had visions of the entire workshop crumbling to pieces. He fairly flew after them, barely managing at the apex of his ascent to grab hold of Lalak Sulalak Ta'ak's rear legs. And down they came. All 3, entwined, and bringing with them more than 30 inverted Chi-Charians. Cascading onto the floor, Obi-Wan and Anakin lost their hold on Lalak Sulalak Ta'ak and suddenly couldn't tell one Chi-Charian from the next. Losing Lalak Sulalak Ta'ak had ceased to be an immediate concern, in any case because Chi-Charians throughout the workshop were rushing to the aid of those the 2 Jedi had caused to plummet from the rafters. Some were already attempting to zap the Jedi into submission by brandishing assorted soldering and engraving tools, while others were busy constructing a plasteel hemisphere under which the violence might be contained. No mayhem! Obi-Wan shouted. Anakin showed him a wide-eyed glance from beneath a 3-meter-tall heap of irate Chi-Charians. Who exactly are you talking to? Obi-Wan glanced around the workshop. Topple something, quickly! Before they complete the mound! With a shoving motion of his free hand, Obi-Wan overturned a small table 20 meters away. Chittering in panic, half the Chicharians who were holding him to the floor scampered off to repair the damaged devices. "Quickly, Anakin!" Even with his hands pinned under him, Anakin managed to upend a pallet of kitchen appliances. Chittering in dismay, more Chicharians raced off. "Stop making it look like fun," Obi-Wan cautioned. Eyes riveted on a bin filled with musical instruments, he was about to rid himself of his remaining tormentors when blaster fire erupted in the workshop, and into the midst of the throng of infuriated Chichair appeared the prelate himself, seated on a litter carried by 6 bearers and grasping a weapon in each foot. 20 Chicharians flattened themselves to the floor as the prelate brought the blasters to bear on Obi-Wan and Anakin. But before a bolt could be fired, TC-16 emerged from a side gallery. A babble of chitterings was exchanged before the prelate swung back to Obi-Wan and Anakin, raising the blasters once more.
"But they meant no harm, Excellency. Lalak Sulalak Thak fled in response to their questions. Master Obi-Wan and Jedi Skywalker sought merely to ascertain the reason."
The prelate's gaze singled out Lalak Sulalak Thak. TC-16 translated.
"Master Kenobi, the prelate advises you to pose your questions and to leave Cherus 4 before he has a change of heart."
Obi-Wan looked at Lalak Sulalak Thak, then TC-16. "Ask him if he remembers the chair." The droid relayed the question.
"He remembers it now."
"Was the engraving done here?"
He answers, "Yes, sir."
"Was the chair brought to Cherus 4 by the Neimoidians or by another?"
He says, sir, by another.
Obi-Wan and Anakin traded eager looks. "Was the hyperwave transceiver already affixed to it?" Anakin asked. TC-16 listened.
"Both the transceiver and the holo projector itself were already affixed to the chair."
Obi-Wan looked at TC-16. "Ask him who made the transceiver. Ask him where it shipped from." Lalak Sulalak Tha'ak's chittering sounded contrite.
"The transceiver unit arrived from a facility known as Escart. He believes that the device's maker is still there."
"Escart?" Anakin said.
"An asteroid mining facility belonging to the Commerce Guild."